Welcome back to MMA Al Dente. I am the guy who picked Court McGee to defeat Matt Brown. And I'm here to recap UFC Fight Night Charlotte. I am going to call this What You'll Hear Me Say Next Time. Trying to come up with a gimmick. That's what you'll hear me say about all these fighters. Let's start at the top. Jailton Almeida versus Jairzinho Rozenstruik. We didn't really learn much new from this fight. This is pretty much the fight I expected. I'm sure a lot of people expected. Jailton Almeida is just that much better on the ground than somebody like Jairzinho. Jairzinho, he is a main event level heavyweight. This might be his last main event, to be frank, but he's definitely had a lot of success in the UFC. It's just never with the grappling. His grappling, I'm sure it's grown in ways that somebody like me can't appreciate. First of all, that first level of takedown defense, I guess I can appreciate, but even the little, the jiu-jitsu game, I'm sure he definitely understands the basics, the positional game, but doesn't mean he's good at it, and a guy like Curtis Blades can ride you, but he's not as, he's more of a rider. Sometimes he goes through you with the jiu-jitsu and he'll end up, destroying you on the ground. Sometimes he just smashes you from the guard, but he's much more of a rider. Somebody like Jailton Almeida, he is passing. He's trying to seek and destroy on the ground. And that's what happened here. He got him down and passed his guard. It took him an extra minute than I expected, I guess, but he went to a different side, stacked his leg, whatever, ended up getting on top, and that was pretty much it. Once a guy like Jailton Almeida sitting on the chest of somebody like Jairzinho Rozenstruik, he's not reclaiming half guard, and, his best chance is to buck you off when you go for something, but Jailton is just too sound there, where it was methodical, but basic once he got him down. Jailton Almeida from here, who'd he call out? Tai Tuivasa, very winnable fight in my opinion, but Tai, got a little more going than Rozenstruik, I think. But still, Jailton Almeida, he can definitely, I'd pick him to beat Tai Tuivasa. I don't want to give my prediction this far out, but I would certainly pick him to win that fight. I think he's a guy that, despite coming up from light heavyweight, he's the biggest force on the ground at heavyweight, aside from maybe John Jones. But, yeah, he's a fucking monster. And I think Jairzinho Rozenstruik, this might be his last go-around as a main eventer, but, he gave it a good go. He cracked Jailton early, kind of like Shamil Abdurakhimov. Didn't really hurt him, but he was going for it. Went for a nice uppercut, trying to throw off the takedown game, but in the end, he was just too limited. And I think he was limited athletically as well. They made a point of talking about how he had bulked up over the course of his UFC career. Now he's a 265 heavyweight. And while that only reinforces his knockout power, it accentuates his strengths, it also leaves room for a more mobile fighter like Jailton Almeida to dart in that much more quickly on his hips. So it didn't work out for him, but he gave it a good go. For Jailton Almeida, the sky's the limit. Johnny Walker beat Anthony Smith by decision. Congratulations to you if you hit that. I think it was plus 700. Anthony Smith, again, he lost 3 fights by decision out of his 17 losses coming into this fight. So he's typically a guy that falls apart, and he's only gotten weaker, healthily. His health has dropped down, knee injuries, and of course, plenty of knockouts throughout the years. And I thought that was pretty visible in this fight. Not, his chin, even though he was cracked early. But he just looked weak, and I'm sure his leg is a lot weaker today because that's pretty much what won Johnny the fight. Johnny, he won with everything, but his leg kicks were the biggest weapon. They're what gave him the most success. And Anthony Smith was getting his leg chewed up. I didn't think he was going to make it. Even in the final minute of the fight, when Johnny Walker, I thought, was pouring it on, I thought Anthony Smith was certain to go out. Of course, with 1 minute left, a decision always seems more likely, but Anthony Smith looked very weak in that moment, and I do think if Johnny Walker poured it on and mixed up some strikes, head, body, leg, he would have finished him. But nevertheless, Johnny Walker, he did win a decision here, which is impressive in its own way, because, again, this is his second decision victory in 21 victories. and altogether in 28 fights, his second decision victory. He's a guy that doesn't often go to a decision, but it's good to see him in a winning effort that goes the distance. From here, Anthony Smith, I don't know. Like I said, he didn't look healthy in that fight, and I had doubts about his health coming into this fight. Also, I don't know what was going on. He was saying some shit to Johnny in the middle of the fight about him attacking his family. You attacked my family. I don't know what that was about. I wish I can get clarification, but maybe we're better off not hearing any clarification there. But yeah, shit loss for Anthony Smith. I guess he can hold his head up high in that he went the distance, getting his ass kicked from one of the best finishers. But this was discouraging, no doubt. Professionally as well. I think this could be a pivotal fight for him. Ian McGarry takes out, Ian McGarry. I wrote down Ian M. Gary. Ian Machado Gary takes out Daniel Rodriguez, and he actually called this like 2 months ago. This guy posted online this video of him talking about this fight and saying, if it ends any other way but a head kick, then it's not intentional. I'm going to knock him out with a right head kick. And he kind of did. He put him away on the ground, but he got the ball rolling with the head kick, knocked him senseless. And yeah, this was his finest moment easily in the UFC. D-Rod's a guy who's never been finished with strikes, never been finished with strikes. And I can only remember him being hurt one or two times with strikes. And Ian Gary was just too much. He was too slick. And I'm glad he showed power, even though, it's, I guess power really you want to see from the hands. Everybody's got power with the fucking head kicks. Ask Alex Caceres. But Ian Gary was visibly sharper there, and before the head kick came, I thought, all right, there's a good chance he actually gets a finish here. He just looked that dominant, and he got it pretty early. So, great win for Ian Gary. Really a fantastic victory, fine moment. And for D-Rod, this sucked. He's 36 now, maybe 37. I can't read my writing, but, getting older, now being finished twice for the first time in his last 2 fights, I believe. Even though they came from different ways. I suppose it'd be worse if they both came from the same way. If they were both knockout losses, I guess that would be much worse. But, yeah, it sucks for D-Rod. He didn't quite reach the heights previously, and I don't want to eulogize him like he's done fighting, but I'm saying he exceeded my expectations from the moment he came into the UFC. Right away with that Tim Means guillotine choke, which we saw another one of those in the next fight that I'm going to cover. But D-Rod, he definitely did better already than I thought he would have. I'm saying that if this is the end, if he's on his way out, then yeah, he's already done well enough to have earned my respect and exceeded my expectations. But speaking of expectations, Ian Gary, my expectations for him are fucking title shot at a minimum. And I think it'll happen soon. He's 25 years old. And, this is just me thinking for the next few years. Like, I'm talking 3 years, 2 years. I think he's going to be fighting for a title. And even by that point, he won't even be 28. So, the sky's the limit. Alex Morono and Tim Means. Alex Morono, like I mentioned in the pre-fight video, not that I bet on it, so I don't know why the fuck I'm mentioning it here, but his guillotine choke has been there for him. It's gotten him multiple victories, but his 2 finest victories, submission-wise, are Derek Krantz and Josh Berkman, both with the guillotine. And it was there for him again against Tim Means, a guy who has been submitted plenty of times in the past, but he's certainly not an easy guy to submit. And Morono's guillotine was just there for him. And I thought Morono was about to lose it once, the camera found its way to the right side there. Once I filmed the right side and I had an angle on the neck, I thought he was pulling his head out. But Morono is just that good with that guillotine. Got him out of there. Fantastic victory for Morono. He's never been submitted. And now he's got 7 submission victories in his 22 wins. And 2 in the UFC, I believe. So great moment for Alex Morono. And for Tim Means, yeah, this sucked. 39 years old. I'm glad he didn't get knocked out. That'd be worse. But this is a fight I expected him to lose, but still sucks seeing him tap out because I like Tim Means. Dirty bird. Matt Brown knocked out Court McGee. This was not the biggest surprise, but certainly a big surprise. Court McGee, I did expect him to win the fight. Of course, I thought it would have gone the distance. But I guess I had a little bit of doubt about his chin, having been knocked out recently by Jeremiah Wells. Of course, despite him being 38, he was the younger, healthier fighter here, in my opinion. Well, I thought so going in. Afterwards, I don't think he was healthier than Matt Brown. But Matt Brown was 4 years older, 42 years old, gray hair on his head. And just, yeah, Matt Brown, he showed he's still got that power. He's still dangerous as fuck. Matt Brown's a guy that I thought had patched up a lot of holes throughout his career, even throughout his UFC career. Is much more submittable earlier on. But, then he had his great run where he put it all together, and that was maybe 10 years ago. When he was fighting Robbie Lawler, which I think if he won that fight, he would have been fighting for a title. But he was fighting those title eliminator fights against Robbie Lawler and Damian Maia, and he had reached the top after like a 6 or 7 fight win streak. And since then, he never reclaimed that glory, but he's always had big moments. Even in that Miguel Baeza fight, he could have finished that one. He's always been game. And he held up physically, and a guy that did not hold up physically, Court McGee, was sitting in front of him, and he cracked him. It was a beautiful win for Matt Brown. He now ties Derek Lewis with 13 finishes, knockouts. And I think he's still going to keep fighting and probably trying to break that record, which he just might do with the right matchups. For Court McGee, I think he definitely has to consider retirement. He's 38, which I know he just lost to a 42-year-old, but he's been knocked out twice now. And the way he went down in this one, it didn't look good. It reminded me of Tony Soprano when he got knocked out by Bobby Bacala. And he leans up and he just goes, fuck it, and just crumbles back down. Court McGee looked like he had a fuck it moment. And he's such a gritty son of a bitch. I think he's just done physically, So I think this was a pivotal moment. And let's put it this way. What we'll see the next time, what I'll say the next time is I don't doubt his chin going into the fight with anybody. I won't doubt his chin. I'm sure he won't. I won't trust his chin. And I'm sure he won't either. So, tough loss. Carl Williams beats Chase Sherman. I thought he won this fight, but I thought Chase did very well. Kind of like Chase did against Waldo Acosta. He was in that one. Chase Sherman is a tough guy. He's much tougher to finish than I think a lot of people give him credit for, because he's looked like shit in some fights. Really, the Jake Collier fight and kind of the Romanov fight, although that was just that was more expected. But Carl Williams, his takedowns are there for him. It didn't look like he would be that successful early on, but he's just such a capable athlete and a decent striker as well, where those takedowns are going to present themselves to him. And he exploded into him, and really I thought that was the difference maker, because on the feet it was a pretty close fight. I thought Chase Sherman was doing very well with leg kicks. Very well. At one moment I thought he's taking over this fight. I was sure of it. So great win for Carl Williams. Tough loss for Chase Sherman. I don't even know where he's at. I think he's lost 2 and then won that Jared Vanderaa fight. And before that, he lost 4. You always feel like Chase Sherman is on the chopping block. But I really think he absolutely belongs in the UFC, with performances like this. He's still limited, yes, but he's a game fighter, no doubt about it. Unless he fights Jake Collier. That was just, that was the worst he ever looked. But great win for Carl Williams. He's now 3-0, 2-0 in the UFC. But there's a fair bit of hype for anybody that's got that kind of takedown prowess. Douglas Silva de Andrade takes Cody Stamann by decision. This was a close fight. I did think Douglas Silva de Andrade won the fight, but I think it was very close. Could have gone either way. I just think Douglas was more effective, visibly more powerful. I don't trust the numbers. They could show me, this guy's outstriking this one 7-1. Yeah, I don't give a shit. I just judge the fight, for what's in front of me. I try to process every strike and go, oh, that hurt. Oh, that really hurt. Instead of, okay, one quality strike, one significant strike, 3 plus 2 minus 4 divided by fuck equals stats. That's not the way you should judge a fight. You should just look, see what's in front of you, and go, okay, yeah, this guy's doing better, and this guy's landing more. That hurt. And I thought Douglas Silva de Andrade overall won the point battle, but I thought Cody Stamann won the fight. He, whatever. If you judge it as a whole, I thought Stamann got the better of him. Yeah, there's recency bias with the third round, as I feel like there should be in a fight, and as there is within every round. Trust me. But Cody Stamann, yeah, he cracked him in round 3, really hurt him, and started pounding him. But I thought Cody should have backed off. He initiated the grappling in that moment. I thought that was a crucial mistake. When a guy is hurt, you want him on the feet where he doesn't want to be, because that's where he doesn't have his legs underneath him. And yeah, I don't know, you just see when fighters doubt themselves and they're all shaky on the feet, the knockout is inevitable. But instead he went to the ground, which, he found points there, but not enough to make it a 10-8 round at the very least, which is what he needed, I thought, to win that fight. Still, could have gone either way, I think. Cody performed very well, but Douglas Silva de Andrade at 37 years old, even though he fell off a little bit in round 3, he still held up against a big knockdown and being hurt, and he looked like the sharper athlete, certainly, throughout the whole fight. So great win for him. That guy scratched and clawed for, this fight and plenty of his other victories. And for Cody Stamann, Cody Stamann, by the way, I think had a moment where, what the fuck? It was restarted with a knee and the fight was stood up or something instead of Cody having a takedown. I feel like he was angry about something there. I got to rewatch the fight. But nevertheless, he can hold his head up high knowing that a lot of people think he won this fight, I'm sure. And yeah, it was very close. It was a game effort, but tough loss, because he was so close to winning it. Carlos Ulberg knocked out Ihor Potieria. This was a beautiful left hook, which just reinforced what we already know about Carlos Ulberg. He's fucking very dangerous and very slick. And damn, he's a big, tall athlete. A Polynesian guy that comes out to the Rocks theme, which I thought was awesome. Ihor Potieria, yeah, this guy, he's looked limited in the UFC. Now he's 1-2, been TKO'd by Negro Mariano and also Carlos Ulberg, and the one victory is over 57-year-old Shogun Rua. So, yeah, he's got some more proving to do. I'm sure he'll be given another shot, and I'm sure this will also get better with age. But, yeah, at the very least, I don't trust his chin. So, tough loss for Potieria. For Carlos Ulberg, yeah, the sky's the limit, even that Kennedy and Nzechukwu fight, he lost it, but he was certainly in the realm of winning it. He almost had him out of there. Natan Levy and Pete Rodriguez. Yeah, I'm not going to want to fucking cover this fight once more. I hope they don't even book it again. Either way, hopefully these guys get fights. I don't even know what happened. I think it was something with Pete Rodriguez. Ji Young Kim versus Mandy Boom, which I call Mandy Boom. This was a fuck show. Just an absolute fuck show of a fight. I thought Ji Young Kim won despite all the fuckery. So it was a fuck show. A robbery on top of a fuck show. That's pretty much what this was. Because in the end, I did think there was a robbery. Just a very bad decision. But to even get into the realm of winning the fight, Mandy Bohm had to get 2 points deducted from Ji Young Kim. One of them, you can't fault anybody. It's Ji Young Kim's fault. She kicked her off of her in round 2. Fucking stupid, dumbass move. Stupid, dumbass move. Totally unnecessary. And I'm glad she was penalized because it was so stupid. And then the other one was a knee to the head, which, whatever, it is what it is, but the way it happened, oh yeah, this was a technical decision. This was just the biggest mess. Mandy Bohm couldn't continue because she was kneed to the head, which, whatever, you can't fault her. She got kneed in the head, but it is what it is, and then they go to a decision, and then they have to, take the cards back and whatever, and let me email you the fucking scorecard, and all this horse shit, and then Mandy Bohm ends up winning a decision. Whatever, the judges gave it to her. You know what? Fuck it. Ji Young Kim blew it with that stupid kick, but I thought it was a bad decision. I thought Ji Young Kim did much better throughout the fight. I thought she won every round, although whatever, 2.5 rounds. I thought she won round 2 largely with control, and I thought round 1 she won, even though it was close and back and forth. She won with bigger moments, namely that first big punch she cracked her with, and then kind of getting the better of the grappling, even though Mandy Bohm really impressed me. She was going for, she went on like autopilot and said, let me make this a physicality battle immediately after getting cracked, and she did. I think she head and arm throwed her or whatever, but then ended up taking her back and putting her in her rear naked choke on a shitty angle, but still some points were being scored. And then once she was put on her back, she had a triangle attempt, kind of half-assed, but still, it was something. And then after that, I thought, Ji Young Kim kind of reclaimed the round. But I thought she won the round. And then round 2, I thought she won. And then round 3, whatever the fuck. Nevertheless, she put herself in the realm of getting robbed in the first place. So she lost the fight. For Mandy Bohm, hey, she got a victory. And even though it was reminiscent of that shit show, Nate Marquardt versus Taliz Leites, UFC 85, go check it out. It was a victory for Mandy Bohm. She's now 8-2. And her stock just jumped very high. Probably not. Bryan Battle knocked out Gabe Green. That was not the fight I expected. I broke this fight down like, I think the takedowns are going to be there in round 2. He's going to catch a leg kick, right? Watch out for the leg kick. He's going to catch it. And then he's going to take him down. And then he's going to go for a toe hold or whatever the fuck. And instead it was over in 12 seconds or whatever with a big knockout for Bryan Battle. Awesome moment. By the way, I'll say this every time I talk about this guy. He sounds like Forrest Griffin. They're from the same region and whatever, but they got the same tone. He definitely sounds like Forrest Griffin, at least for like 2 seconds in every sentence. But great win for Bryan Battle at home. Knockout in 15 seconds. I mean, it's never going to get better than that. Unless he wins the championship or something. That's probably his finest moment. And, he'll do better professionally, climb the ladder, I'm sure, and whatever. But getting a 15-second victory at home like that and a big knockout is just astounding. And what you'll hear me say next time about him is that, yeah, he's got power in his hands. I still think that was just kind of like the perfect shot, and it was invited by Gabe Green being Gabe Green in his face. But it was one punch that put him on his ass. So my respect for Bryan Battle's power goes up, and for Gabe Green, like I said in the pre-fight video, my respect for his durability had gone tremendously up since he came to the UFC. I thought, coming into the UFC, when I broke him down, I thought this guy, he's going to get knocked out. And in particular, I thought he'd get knocked out in his 2 losses, but he ended up going the distance and losing efforts to D-Rod and Ian Gary, and I thought, fuck, this guy is very tough. And those 2 knockout losses before the UFC, maybe they were the flukes. Maybe he's patched things up. Maybe his chin's gotten stronger, whatever. I don't think chins get stronger, and it reared its ugly head here. Bryan Battle got him out of there. And you know what? You can blame Gabe Green because he did go gung-ho from the beginning, which might have been a tactical error in retrospect. But that's where he finds his success. Like I said in the pre-fight, his success comes from the fact that if his chin holds up and whatever, and the fight goes the distance, he's already got points scored because he's the one in your face. And I thought that was something he could afford to have here against Bryan Battle, but Bryan Battle, just had too much power for that chin and got him out of there very quickly. Gigantic victory, tremendously devastating loss for Gabe Green, not going to lie. Tainara Lisboa takes out Jessica Rose Clark with a minute left or so. Jessica Rose Clark, I thought she would be able to win the wrestling battle here. And she was, for a good portion of the fight. But still, Tainara Lisboa just had too much for her. Especially in the end, Jessica Rose Clark, who I thought towards the end of round 1 or beginning of round 2 looked a little flat and kind of out of it. But She just had nothing left by the end of round 3, and Tainara Lisboa was stuffing her against the cage, making her pay, burying her head down, making her work, and then just pounced on a rear naked choke. I thought Tainara, even though she didn't look as dominant as I expected her to on the feet, I thought she would have looked better. She looked better overall. My respect for her overall game goes up, even though all 3 of her submission victories are kind of top game submissions. I still worry about her on her back, but it's still a feather in her cap. She submitted a 20-fight veteran, Jessica Rose Clark, with whatever, 10 UFC fights or something, and she did it in the final minute of a 15-minute fight there, which at the very least tells you octagon jitters aren't a problem for this girl, and she's got good cardio. Good win for Tainara Lisboa. Shit loss for Jessica Rose Clark. This is probably the end for her, I think. She's on a 3-fight losing streak now, but who knows? Whatever. Maybe they'll bring her back to fight another newcomer or something. But great win for Tainara Lisboa, and great event overall. There was a lot of bullshit and fuckery, but I really enjoyed this event. Even when a fight is a shit show, like Ji Young Kim versus Mandy Bohm, I just can't help but laugh. I enjoy the fuck out of it, even though I'm losing money at the same time. Like, share, subscribe, all that horseshit. Check out my other videos.